Okay, so how do you feel about some of the new age techniques? You know, like the Berimbolo, tornado guard, like donkey guard, just all that crazy shit. You know.
I love it. I love it. You know, it's jiu-jitsu is. I always tell my student, you know, jiu-jitsu is not the same like it used to be. So there is, since I believe jiu-jitsu is kind of fairly new sport, and there is a lot of things people can add to it. That's why, you know, you come up with so many different techniques. Personally, I have not seen many of them, and some of my students, when they bring it to my attention, I say, wow, I never seen that submission. So I'm actually liking it, and that's why I don't call it traditional martial art. I call it like modern martial art.
That's interesting. That's a good. So you're kind of open to the idea, and you're pretty accepting of the new, open to the new ways to do it. That's it. I like that. So how would you say how it has changed since you become a black belt?
Oh wow, big difference. When I was a black belt, there were techniques were very limited. Like there was an armbar, triangle, and they were really very few things.
Tell people you can use your jiu-jitsu on, okay?
There were really few things we could do, you know. But nowadays is different. Nowadays everything is great, and people are using bunch of different stuff for that.
So, what do you look for in a black belt?
You know, to me, I am actually one of those guys who. There are a bunch of schools. They go based on the time. They go based on how well, they practice and how often they come. Mine is always about, how good you do. I really like to test my student in the tournament, and I like to test them, in practice. You mentioned about black belts. Black belt is just a person who need to have every aspect of jiu-jitsu done, basically. I don't want the black belt be only the reversal guy who can reverse everybody, but when he goes to the side control cannot finish people. So basically I need my black belt has to know everything from every basically direction, from passing the guard, from takedown, from mount position, and just have it all, basically, round game.
Okay. So they have to be a well-rounded martial artist or a well-rounded practitioner.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so my next question was how do you know when somebody's ready to get belted or striped? So it sounds kind of like the same, but, if you have something to add to that, please do.
Personally, like I said, I always test them based on people who are a little bit higher belt than they are. As a matter of fact, it's funny what you're saying. Yesterday I had this student who is one stripe white belt. He submit a brown belt from other school 3 times, and see, I think he's ready for his next stripe, or maybe I would give him 2 stripes because his performance was absolutely amazing.
Excellent. So tell me, jiu-jitsu as a sport versus it as a martial art, because I feel like a lot of people give jiu-jitsu, especially a lot of the modern techniques like Berimbolo, inverted guard. That's not going to work on the street. So how, what do you think that as a sport versus a martial art?
No, I absolutely think jiu-jitsu is the purest sport. I completely agree with jiu-jitsu. I'm not going to say it's not going to help you when you are in the bad situation in the street, but it's not a fighting system, Yes, if you get hold on the guy and you choke him out, yes, happen, but overall I think it's more a sport than, self-defense or martial art in that matter.
So how has your wrestling or your jiu-jitsu helped you off the mat? I know you came from Iran. You know, you've been in it for 40 years. You know, like I'm sure there's a lot, but you know, just try and keep it kind of simple because I'm sure it's helped you a lot. But you know, what like, how has jiu-jitsu or your wrestling helped you off the mat?
You know, I don't know if my wrestling really helped my jiu-jitsu, because I think I still, when I do jiu-jitsu, I'm a wrestler. You know, I like to take people down. I have a great base, and I like to pass their guard. I'm hard to get submit, so that's how normally when I go to Pan American or something like that, I win my matches. Like I said, I'm not that great about submitting people. That doesn't mean I have not submit people over there. I have submit people in Pan American, but I am like one of those tough guys who focus on scoring bunch of points versus going to submit people. But yeah, my wrestling really helped my jiu-jitsu in the way.
So how has all your martial arts or grappling training helped you, like in your like social or like, you know, in other aspects of your life, not regarding grappling?
Well, you know, obviously, it's gonna give you a great tough mentality. You know, jiu-jitsu and sport period. You know, it's a life. Show you a life experience, basically. That means if you get beat up in the jiu-jitsu one day, and what you're gonna do next day, you're gonna come and train and beat the guy up. Same thing with life. You know, you just go wrong somewhere in your life, and you bring that sport in the real life, and you realize, you know what? Hey, I can get on my feet again and be a better person or be a more successful person for tomorrow.
Excellent. So, I say, what was one of your most memorable matches?
I would say it was with Roger Gracie when I was a blue belt, because
where was that?
Oh, it was Pan American. I would say it was maybe 2001. I was a blue belt, and of course, you know, I was fresh off the boat, I have to say, and I still were in the great shape, but at the time I did not have enough respect for jiu-jitsu people. So we compete against each other in Pan American in Florida, and so I beat my first match, and then I went against him, and everybody says it's Gracie, and I told people, hey, just watch me, I'm gonna kick his ass. Well, I was wrong, you know. So I lost that match by point. But I have to say, in my defense, I was the only person in that bracket did not get submit, and I lost. I believe, if I don't make a mistake, I lost 8-5. No, I'm sorry, 8-3. And he beat everybody in 30 seconds. Submit everybody in 30 seconds. But again, I didn't know who he was at the time, and then later on in life, obviously, he's a great grappler, and I have a lot of respect for him. And so later on, I knew he was, and I said, okay, hey, maybe I wasn't as good as him at the time.
That's interesting. So how do you feel not knowing how like how prestigious he was as a grappler? Do you think not knowing that he was like such a badass or helped you grapple against him and do as well as you did?
No, not for me. You know, we were talking to somebody, and they were talking about how some people become famous. Just as a matter of fact, we were talking about this few minutes with you guys. You know, the people who become famous are the people who have no name and beat the people who are already famous. So personally, and just the way I am, I don't really care who I go against. I just want to make sure I do everything and anything in my power to win that match.
So what was one of your most humbling experiences in jiu-jitsu or wrestling?
Well, wrestling, I have a lot of humbling one, but jiu-jitsu was, like I was mentioning earlier, first day I show up in the jiu-jitsu gym as a great wrestler, and I said, okay, hey, I'm gonna like sweep the mat with every single people in this gym, and maybe 20 minutes later on, I was going home with tears in my eyes, not beside the pain, you know, it was just like my feeling was hurt so badly, because I got to meet 100 times in like 1 hour, and thank God the coach was standing over there, and every like 5 seconds he was saying tap tap for me because I was too stubborn to tap.
Excellent. So who were some of the influential people when you were going through the jiu-jitsu ranks? Like, who did you look up to? When you were before you were a black belt.
I always had a lot of respect for a good friend of mine who's my coach right now, Kenny McClure, and he's one of those guys who absolutely amazing grappler. And I seen him going with bunch of famous people and just like tore them. So I guess still I would look up for him, and I wish my game be anywhere close to his.
Excellent. So you look up to Kenny McClure. You just mentioned you still look up to him. Who else do you look up to nowadays?
So I really like Marcelo Garcia. I don't think so. He has the best physics for jiu-jitsu, but he's one of the best around, and I saw a bunch of his matches. So he basically proved me you don't need a great physics to be a great grappler. You just need to adapt to your body and your system and your style and just do the best you can. Obviously, I love the guy, and I always search his videos to learn some from him.
See, so who was one of the toughest people that you grappled with? Not necessarily in a match, but just in general.
Well, I have a bunch of different opponents in wrestling who are like world champion and Olympic champion and all those stuff. But in jiu-jitsu, I would say like Jeff Monson was one of them. Like I said, Roger Gracie was another one. And of course, there were a bunch of people in Texas. When I was learning jiu-jitsu, they kind of like kick my butt and humble me. So there are few people. I mean, there are way more than few people. We don't have time to mention all their names.
Okay, so what would you say it means to be mentally tough? There's a lot of these intangible things to be a grappler. One thing is the mentality of the game. What would you say it means to be mentally tough?
Oh, absolutely. Being mentally tough is like, my opinion, 2/3 of the match. And to be honest, I never knew anybody in my last 36 years of wrestling and jiu-jitsu tell me when they step on the mat, they were afraid. I mean, they might be afraid until they step on the mat, but as soon as they shake and the tournament starts, they just go at it. I think that's something a human does, I have to say. They kind of get nervous beforehand, and I guess that's normal. I personally get rid of all those nervousness before I get on the mat. And what I do normally, if I have 3 months before tournament, I just kind of close my eyes and I imagine I'm in the middle of the mat, and I'm about to go with whoever, anybody. So kind of give me a butterfly, but I remind that myself every day until I get to the tournament. But by the day of the tournament, I'm just ready to tear some people up.
Excellent. That's good. I like that a lot. Jiu-jitsu, it doesn't offer a lot of the aspects that traditional martial arts does, like, a lot of the forms of katas and stuff like that. And so when I think you lose with that, you lose discipline when you don't have these repetitive things to be done. How do you find discipline in jiu-jitsu?
Jiu-jitsu is a completely different sport. I wouldn't even call, to be honest, jiu-jitsu martial art, because I would put jiu-jitsu in the wrestling category, is a great sport. And I know, like in karate, taekwondo, or the other, form of martial arts, people really getting discipline, but jiu-jitsu is not one of them. And what we need to do, I guess just, but I have to say this as well, I never seen nicer people in jiu-jitsu than anywhere. So I don't think so discipline is necessary. And Jiu-Jitsu kind of create a brotherhood and family, you know. So I don't think so you would be super disciplined to your family. You just love them, and that's how, you know, we love our teammate and our gym and, you know, our other schools.
So, how would you teach or impart these like non-physical concepts to your school or your students, such as mental toughness, heart, or discipline, or you know, so some of these things that you know you can't teach them like physically. There's no move to show them these kinds of things.
Well, my personal opinion is you're even born with those stuff, or you're never gonna be that person. And to be honest, that's why certain people, I mean, let's say, for example, my gym, I have about 150 students, and every single of them are in the different stage of mind and toughness and this and that. So I am the only coach basically teaching them, but they are different. So that shows it's not really me to teach anybody anything. It's just them. Their personality and their toughness and their, you know, attitude make it different on their games. So I don't think so being tough mentally would be something teaching anybody. They just need to get tough.
Interesting. So, outside of jiu-jitsu, what do you do? You know, what do you like to do when you're not on the mat or you're at home? What does Yousef like to do on his day off?
Well, I'd really like to spend time with family. You have to understand, I'm 44 years old and I'm doing this thing for 36 years. So if you were asking me this question 10 years ago, I would say jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu. But nowadays, you know, I have a little kid, 4.5 years old girl. I love spending time with her. We go here and there, of course, my girlfriend, you know, and brother, and I'm just trying to have a little more fun before I get too old.
Good deal. So, so you said you had a 4.5-year-old daughter. You know, assuming she finds this recording in 10 years, what would you like for her to hear?
Well, I just want to say I love her. She's the greatest thing happened ever to me. And I'm hoping in 10 years she'll be a badass jiu-jitsu grappler, so she has a bigger name than her daddy ever had. So that's all I'm going to say.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate that. So we're going to wrap it up here. You know, anything else you want to leave for the jiu-jitsu universe? You know, like I know you have a lot of experience. There's a lot of what would be one piece of advice you would leave to the jiu-jitsu community, or what would it be?
Well, all I have to say, guys, just work hard. If you are not getting it today, tomorrow is a new day. And all this sport needs is a hard work. And I promise you, with hard work, everything is possible.
Excellent. Yousef, thank you very much. This is Randy Manning with Metagame Jiu-Jitsu, and I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Awesome.